Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to go over our water system. I'm going to flush it, recharge the water softener, sanitize our tanks, change the anode rod in the hot water heater and flush it out, and change our drinking water filters. So stick around, we're going to go from the spigot outside into our tank, through our filters, water softener, and out of our reverse osmosis system in the kitchen. So the first thing we're going to do is fill our freshwater tank with a mixture with bleach. You want about a cup per 50 gallons. We're going to let that sit overnight, and we're going to run it through the lines, let it sanitize everything in the rig overnight. While that's sitting, I'm going to flush the water heater tank. I'm going to change our filters, our drinking water filters, and I'm going to recharge our water softener. So follow along and I'll show you how we do this. So one of the first things when dealing with your drinking water is all your connections and hoses. Now, you're definitely going to want a water pressure regulator, something similar to this. And if you can see on here, I don't know if that'll focus in, but you want to make sure every fitting that you buy, brass or otherwise, says lead-free or drinking water safe. It's very important. You don't want lead in your drinking water. So at minimum, make sure that it says that. Now, a lot of people use quick disconnects on their water lines. Same thing, make sure that they're lead-free, drinking water safe. I went with a brand called Gorilla off of Amazon. They weren't too expensive. You can get kits for 30-40 bucks for a few fittings. I use them on a lot of stuff in here. You're going to need a spray nozzle to spray out your water heater. And I'm also going to replace the anode rod with a new one. So first thing I'm going to do is disconnect our water. I'm going to bypass, I have this set up to go to our water softener and filters. First I'm going to bypass this and go in to fill our fresh water tank with a mixture. But I want to run the bleach through our actual hose and let it sit in there for a little bit so it sanitizes our drinking hose, our main hose coming into the rig. Alright, so what I did here is I bypassed my system that I installed. I have filtration and a water softener on the other side of the wall here. I know not everybody's going to have the Nautilus system, so I'm going to try to do this a simple way. First of all, you're going to want to bypass your hot water heater, which is the red one. First, we want to get our bleach water into our hose. So what I'm going to do, got my 1 cup. So I'm going to take a funnel. We're going to just dump this into the hose. See how this goes. So now I got this in the hose. I'm going to hook this back up to the spigot. I'm going to pressurize it so it pushes this through, but I have this shut off right here. So I'm going to shut this off and let it sit in the hose for a little bit. Alright, so while that's sitting in the hose before we fill the tank, for that I'm going to shut off the water heater. There's a switch out here, you can shut it off. You don't have to go inside. Alright, so the fun part of this setup is, you have these water softeners. A lot of people set them outside on the ground when they're using them. I didn't want to have to take it in and out every single time that we set up and tore down. I set it up kind of permanently in here with flexible short hoses. Like I said again, just make sure everything that you use for your drinking water says drinking water safe or lead free on it. It's pretty important. You can't just use an off-the-shelf garden hose for your drinking water. We've been using 0G. Some friends of mine have moved to using the stainless steel encased rubber hoses that are really flexible. Those are pretty nice. I'm going to stick with 0G. I've had really good luck with them and they've been great so far. So after 2 years, I've only replaced one once, and my old one is now my black tank flush hose. So anyway, we're going to get going on getting this water softener out of here. Like I said, it's some people set them out all the time. What I did is I put it in here. I'll show you from the other camera there. I took a drip pan for a household water heater tank and put underneath it, so if there are any leaks, that'll catch all the water that drips. Also, this is another thing I highly recommend, These Govee water sensors, they're great. They're pretty inexpensive. You can hook them up to the internet if you want. I don't have ours hooked up, but they're loud enough where if you even get a drop on the top, they have two little sensors on the bottom. Once that completes that circuit, they go off. They're pretty loud. They'll wake you up in the middle of the night. So, okay, so we need to get this water softener out of here to recharge it. I'll swap out the filters, and we'll be good to go. This is still much easier than having to move this in and out every single time. There's no reason to go with an expensive system where you have to buy their certain filters and all this. With this type of setup, I can get standard filters at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, anywhere we're at. It just makes life so much easier. I like to replace these every 3 or 4 months or so. It's worked really good. We've had zero issues with this setup. Got the water softener. You know how campground water can be, so having a water softener is definitely a must. Now this one, we have the Pro Aqua. I would like to say I don't have any complaints about it, but honestly, recharging this thing's a pain in the butt. It's I would prefer one of the systems where you can just take the lid off and pour the salt directly on the top. This one I have to hook up a canister and filter the salt back through it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it works good. I mean, I don't have any complaints with the way it works. It's just one of those things that after you have it for a while, you learn. All right, so we got the filter canisters out. Wipe them out real good and clean them up. We put in our new filters sitting here. We'll get those in and taken care of. You can see a little bit of rust inside there. Okay, now that we got the canisters out and cleaned up, we're gonna put the new filters in. The birds are all over. We're gonna put these new filters in. You just wanna make sure that your higher micron goes first. You want it to catch the larger particles before it goes into your small filter, so just keep that in mind when you're putting them in order. All you gotta do is look at which way the water's flowing. Our water comes in on this side, so you want the larger micron filter to be on this side, the finer filter to be on this side. This is inlet, outlet. Then from here, goes into the water softener, out from the water softener to the intake on our water system on the rig. So let's get these tightened up. Don't want to over tighten them, just get them snug. Okay, now that we got the water filters changed out, we're gonna recharge the water softener. Now, like I said, this one's kind of a pain in the butt. I gotta get out this canister. I'll show you how it's done here. It works good. It's worth the effort to have soft water. If you've ever been in a park with hard water, you'll know that you get water spots on your shower door, on your fixtures, and makes a mess. It's nice to have soft water. So we'll get going on that, and then we'll flush out the hot water tank and replace the anode rod. Okay, well, we have some other things going on. I'm gonna drain the hot water tank here. So first thing you wanna do is release pressure. Make sure it's shut off and that you don't have any power going to the unit. Just pull the rod out. Now, there is going to be hot water coming out of here, so be very careful. So this anode rod isn't in bad shape. That's what they look like when you take them out. I'm going to go ahead and replace it anyway. Yeah, it looks a lot grosser than it is. This is doing its job. Okay, so now we got to recharge this water softener. With this one, I got to pour the salt in here. I got to do this twice. Okay, so I got this all hooked up. I got the salt in there. Now we got to let this dump the salt in, recharge it, back flush it. The pigeon's coming along to inspect our work. What's up, dove bird? All right, so this water is brine water, so you do not want this to run onto the ground. Now I have it going into an open septic over there, and I put an old hose on the end of my drinking water hose so we don't get any cross-contamination. Don't mind my buddy over there. All right, so what we got here is the salt going in, recharging our softener. Like I said, this system is not as convenient as one that you would just top load. I wish I would have had something different, but hey. Okay, so we're gonna let that run for about 20 minutes. Then we're gonna flush it back out, and that'll be good to go, and we can put that back in the rig, and we'll get going on the water heater. All right, now that we let this salt flush through here, we gotta shut it down, and we gotta run the full water pressure for a minute or two. I'm gonna use this handy dandy connector here, because you have to run basically the hose backwards through here. All right, so we'll let that go for about a minute, and we'll get this back in, fully installed back in the rig, and the filtration and softener will be good to go. Okay, now we gotta get this back in here. Okay, so now we got the filters changed out, the water softener's recharged. Now we're gonna flush out the water tank, and we'll get the new anode rod in there, and we can pressurize the system again and check for leaks. So let's get going on cleaning this thing. So this is a cheap generic Amazon sprayer. See all that buildup coming out? That's off the heating elements that are in there. Shouldn't be too bad. I did this a few months ago. Alright, so this new rod came with Teflon tape already installed on it, so that's helpful. Stick it back in. So the socket for these is 1 1/16 inches, just for reference. Get these all hooked back up. See what I'm doing here. So this is my water inlet. So water comes in, hooks to this, runs over to our filter, goes from the filter to the water softener, from the water softener into the input of the rig here. Okay, now we're going to go back to city water. So we need to flip this one. This one, we don't want to bypass the hot water heater. That was the fun part. Let's see if there's any leaks. Okay, so we got the hot water heater pressure release valve still open. So this should be filling up the hot water heater here until we see some water coming out of this. There we go. Tank is full. No leaks there. Good to go. Checking here for some leaks. So again, with the leak sensors, these are great. These are made by GoV. You can find them on Amazon. You can buy a kit. There's a bunch of different things you can get, but these will hook up to your Wi-Fi. There's a base for them, but we just have them set as alarms. They're pretty loud. You'll hear them. They've woken us up at night, so they're pretty loud. All All right, so that does it for the outside for now. We are going to let everything soak tonight with the bleach solution, run it through the lines till we can smell bleach at every faucet. I'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute, and then we're all done. So before bed, we're going to let this run till we smell bleach at every faucet and let it sit overnight. So under the kitchen sink, we have our reverse osmosis system. This does require to be tapped into your drain, and it needs 110 power. It does create wastewater. It's about 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons per gallon of drinking water. So that is a concern if you're not going to be on full hookups all the time. But this has been a great option for us. We didn't really want to deal with a Berkey. Thank you for watching, and if you found anything in this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.